Forward. 1. This is not an attack on Femitheist Divine but merely a response to a blog she made, which covers topics I was eventually going to make a video on, and 2. I recommend you watch this as time to speed. Go to the wrench icon in the bottom right. Her blog is titled, The End Game, Equality versus Equivalence and Careers in Human Rights Activism. She responds to a question. What are the end games of feminism and the MRM? What could be considered enough for feminists and MRAs to say that they've achieved their goals and their work is complete? She says no, they wouldn't disappear. She writes. The MRM and feminism, objectives extend far beyond mere basic human rights. So long as there is even a single instance of inequality or prejudice and discrimination anywhere in the world, these collectives and social movements will seek to cling to those cases desperately for as long as they can. Did civil rights groups for African Americans call it a day when the Supreme Court ruled unanimously on Brown v. Board of Education that segregation in public schools was unconstitutional? Of course not. Did they pack things up and go home after President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibited discrimination of all kinds based on race, color, religion, or national origin? Of course not. Did women's rights activists surrender their cause when women were given the right to vote in 1920 with the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution? Of course not. Did they consider their work complete when the Pentagon overturned the military ban in 2013? Allowing women to serve in infantry and commando units for the first time? Of course not. End quote. I disagree with the equivalency for a number of reasons. 1. The comparison of feminism/black suffrage movements are inherently different to the MRM in that they are both ideological left. The ideological left, and I distinguish between collectivism and the left, are Marxist in nature. They are a coalition with the likes of the disabled, the poor and other groups that feel disadvantaged. The MRM cannot join the left because men, or more specifically white heterosexual men, are the enemy that keeps the narrative and coalition going. If the MRM was to collaborate, then the whole coalition comes crashing down. 2. Whilst it's true that as long as there is profitability and careers a movement will keep going, men have a difficulty collaborating together. It just doesn't come natural to us, probably because of the need to be independent. The MRM for men is largely embarrassing and is therefore a last resort to just how bad things have gotten. The MRM is made up of men who have lost everything, such as their children and property through divorce. I believe Stardust said it best when he said men, the MRM, are yearning to be needed, that we have no identity outside the worker-drone model. Give us 50-50 parenting and less draconian divorce laws and the MRM will fade away into obscurity, whether Elam wants it to or not. Femitheist continues. It is unlikely that any time soon there will not be a few errors, misjudgments, or perceived mistakes in such outcomes, and so there will never be a situation where men, in general, or women, in general, feel that they have always been given a fair shake. Just as there will always be organizations such as Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD, there will always be those who believe that drunk driving laws are too strict, or are not being enforced equitably. End quote. I agree to a certain extent here in that laws are subjective and administration is never perfect. However, we can make the decisions more transparent and give frameworks as to give more confidence to the public. For example, a 50-50 parenting mandate is transparent and gives confidence in the judicial system. Furthermore, it is popular with the public with 80% in favor of default shared custody. I don't understand the negativity toward change, especially when there are reasons for men and women to unify to change a broken system. There are even policies that may reduce the caseload in the first place, such as a documentary called Divorce Corp which proposed the Swedish system which eliminates all the need for lawyers and as such reduces financial bankruptcy at the divorcees. Finally, I don't think it is possible for the MRM to achieve all its goals. Gynocentrism is the default and will be, as civilization inherently benefits women. Women have reproductive potential and as such they use it as a potential hostage. No politician or voter can vote for a system that makes children born to single mothers starve. The 2012 election was prime example of feminist, female supremacy of politics. The worst case scenario is that the MRM end up cancelling out feminism and as such politicians can just follow their instinct, which may still be female supremacy. The good news is that whilst technological developments may have contributed to the hardship of today, such as contraception and the sexual revolution resulting in men in prison for child support, There are technologies that may balance it out. A male pill frightens feminists because they know it will take away a key bargaining chip from their repertoire. There are plenty of things the MRM can do that would actually benefit women, such as ending male genital mutilation or reforming child support so that the funds come from the state. Every movement has potential to go off course, but the MRM is at least more prepared in that its name itself provides a constitutional framework. Feminism talks about equality, a word I reject as it is too vague and ambiguous, whereas the men's rights movement has an endgame in its name itself. The word, rights, provide what is and is not acceptable. For instance, MGM is illegal under Article 7 of human rights and therefore should be applied to boys. Nobody has a right to a job or to success, and as such if the MRM goes astray, such as asking for a quota, any journalist can just say that is not a right and they would be correct. Feminism provides no safeguards. The fem implies superiority. The in-anism implies a never-ending process of change, a sort of out with the old and in with the new. Overall, I find your political apathy disappointing. Your politics seems to be do nothing and just accept your misfortune, and as such it's disheartening. If there are feminists, and I mean the real egalitarian feminists listening, why do you follow this woman? The MRM, for all its flaws, is a unified effort. It consists of all political ideologies, women, and wants an end to cultural Marxism. In a sense this is the real feminism, yet Femitheist just wants to keep this war going by making you apathetic.